Es sentido del momento histórico, es cambiar todo lo que debe ser cambiado, es igualdad y libertad plena.
At a Labor Day celebration in Havana, Cuba in 2000, the enduring Prime Minister Fidel Castro delivered this speech to a crowd of over 10,000 people. In his speech, he answers the question, what is revolution? His fervent support of the ongoing government is prevalent not only in this speech, but in others as well. For example, in his 4-hour-long speech titled, "History Will Absolve Me," Castro condemns those who are not with the cause and says that he knows one day he will go down in history as a legend, and that the ends will justify the means in terms of his rampant executions on his way to power. However, most would seem to disagree with this notion. Will Castro be absolved in history? Has his undeniable mark become a stain, or will he live as a symbol of excellence and freedom? Only time will tell. But for now, let's take a look at the history behind the revolution and some of its lasting effects on those involved in an interview with survivor William Rodriguez, who managed to escape before it was too late.
Es luchar por nuestro sueño de justicia para Cuba y para el mundo.
In recent news, celebrity Beyoncé has been the topic of national scrutiny due to her controversial trip to Cuba. This island nation in the Caribbean and the United States of America have been almost entirely secluded from one another since 1960. The embargo between the countries is the most enduring in modern history and arose from the governmental coup known as the Cuban Revolution. Of the Cold War-era dictators, Fidel Castro is arguably the most recognizable, but his predecessor, Fulgencio Batista, is the root cause of the Cuban Revolution. He was elected president of Cuba in 1940 under the Democratic Socialist Party, with close ties to communist powers. Batista greatly admired the capitalist economy of the United States. After a 4-year term, Batista was still not accepted into the upper-class society and moved to America for several years. Upon return in 1952, he again ran for president, but when he saw the polls were lacking, Batista staged another military coup and declared himself dictator. Life under this dictatorship was rife with corruption. Batista used police force to deny the public basic freedoms such as the right to strike, and over the course of 7 years killed 20,000 citizens. Batista used his power to increase his personal wealth, and this ignorance allowed the mafia, who Batista had close ties to essentially take over the capital city of Havana. The city was controlled by elected cronies that encouraged gambling, prostitution, and the sale of narcotics. Batista also gave control of most of the sugar plantations, ranches, mines, and utilities to private American companies. His apparent hate of communism led the US to support his tyranny, even though Batista had many fascist policies. Public discontent grew rapidly, and Fidel Castro began to form his 26th of July movement. Castro's first attempts to overthrow Batista involved appeals through the courts, but when it became apparent that Batista could not be ousted legally, Castro gathered revolutionaries.
El camino de la lucha armada no es el camino que hayan escogido los revolucionarios, sino es el camino que los opresores le han impuesto a los pueblos. Y los pueblos entonces tienen dos alternativas: o doblegarse o luchar.
The first major offensive took place in 1956 and led to Castro's Band of 100 being scattered in the southern Sierra Maestra Mountains. After another group attempted to assassinate Batista, the US withdrew and imposed the embargo, further weakening Batista's dictatorship. Castro's group continued its guerrilla warfare in the mountains and began to use propaganda such as pirate radio stations to its advantage. In 1958, Castro again advanced towards Havana, scaring Batista, who fled to the Dominican Republic. Castro walked into Havana on January 8, 1959, officially ending Batista's dictatorship. The Castro government began by nationalizing the country, ousting the American companies. the US froze all Cuban assets in America, economically killing Cuba. The country then turned to the USSR for help and installed several communist ideals. But Castro prosecuted homosexuals, declared the official religion atheism, and encouraged the feudalistic system. This caused more rebels to collect together against the Castro dictatorship. Unfortunately, they never had any success in revolution, with the biggest failure being the Bay of Pigs invasion. Many of these new revolutionaries illegally fled the country to escape further persecution and tyranny.
Please enjoy a word from our sponsor, Cuando el Globo se vuelta, a scandalous new telenovela that aims to take Spanish TV by storm.
Mire el canal 5 esta noche en 10 para mirar el estreno de la temporada de Cuando el Globo se vuelta. Aquí está una proyección previa.
Pero María Luisa, tú nunca dijiste que tú tienes una gemela. Una gemela muy bonita.
Somos gemelas fraternas. ¿Cuál es el problema con tú?
¡Ay!
Papi y yo hemos estado saliendo secretamente por 3 meses. Yo soy su verdadero amor. ¿Verdadero amor? No, chica.
Ay, chicas. No, siempre amaré con María Luisa. Casado durante de muchos años y tenemos 12 niños. Ay.
Y la mitad de ellos no son tuyos. Lo siento.
El Gaspo.
¡El Gaspo!
Esto es mi cacti.
Adiós. Hasta luego, papi.
OMG, me encanta como el globo se vuelta.
Palabras no pueden explicar mis sientes.
Es increíble. Sí.
And now, an exclusive interview with William Rodriguez, survivor of the Cuban Revolution.
So, can you describe for me what it was like to live in Cuba as a child?
Okay, living in Cuba as a child, and remember that since there is like summertime all the time, go to school during the day, come home, and we were playing on the streets when I was living in the city. I lived with my father and mother, and we were in Santiago de Cuba, that's close to Guantanamo Bay. I loved going to the country there. The country was very peaceful, very beautiful. There's no way you would starve living in the country, because there was always food, fruit trees all over the place. Everything grew wild there.
Do you remember when the revolution first started to kind of pick up? Like, what was that like?
Very scary times. He revolted against the regime that was there before, which he didn't agree with.
Did a lot of people feel that way?
A lot of people thought he was the savior for the country. A lot of people did the same thing and just joined him in the hills. He got the help of the people because everybody thought he was going to do the right thing, and it turned out that he lied to the people. You know, he didn't turn out that way. And he was, the beginning was a very great, everybody was happy, everybody thought this is a great beginning for a country. And all of a sudden, the lies, the killing started, and you couldn't say a word. Everything was, you couldn't say a word how you felt, because you could be ended up dead the next day. And all you see is people, you know, marching up and down the streets. In many homes, they replaced Castro instead of the crucifix in the house. The picture of Castro has been there. They got rid of most of the churches. There's no churches there. They don't believe in that. They don't believe in churches.
Wow.
They don't believe in churches. Nobody understands that. Yeah, all you see on the TV is all the beautiful beaches there. They don't show you the rest of the stuff. They don't show you the rest of the stuff. A lot of people starving there, man. A lot of people starving. You know, like I remember right after Castro took over on this, if you had a house, and after Castro became a communist, if somebody in the government wanted your home, all they did is come to the door with a few people with guns, and they knock on your door and they would tell you, the revolution needs your house, and you couldn't pack. You were out the door. They just take your possessions. If you are driving your vehicle on the streets, they stop you and they tell you the revolution is your vehicle and you were out of it. And if you argue with them, they will never see you again. They will never see you again. So it was a very scary experience. A cousin of my father's, he had a Jeep, he had a farm, had a beautiful home. And they go over there and it was two of the guards, two army guys. He says, the revolution is your car. And they just took it from him. Where the hell did the car go? The Jeep. Like a Cherokee. They just took it. And God forbid, if he says something to them, they shoot him right there. And they leave you right there. Those things you don't hear about. Those things you don't hear about that. My father sent to one of his brothers asked him to send me a pair of shoes. I have no shoes. And he gets the shoes, goes out, and they put a gun to his head and tell him, take off your shoes off. They steal the shoes off him. They don't have shoes over there. And all the people that, you know, they say, if anybody, oh, he's not somebody with a revolution. And they grab him and put you in jail for 20 years. They never see you again. You never make it to those jails. You never make it. And, you know, and then in those times you say, gee, did we do the right thing of getting over here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I remember in my backyard, I used to love animals. In Cuba, I used to love animals. And I used to raise chickens. You know, I used to go and buy. There was this person that my uncle was very close friends with at a farm. And when his chickens, well, he had incubators. When they were ready to have the chickens, I would go there and buy them right out of the incubator. You know, good stuff.
Yeah.
So in my backyard, I would keep a stock of about 30 of them. Not good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, after I came here, my father and mother had told me that the people next door, they work with the revolution. You know, of course, either you are or you're not.
Yeah.
So this is what they told my father and mother. It's not fair that you guys got chickens and you guys have eggs, and the rest of us, we have to wait for the ration, you know, to get 2 eggs a week or whatever you get. Because I give you a booklet for the family, you know. So many people in the family, that's what you're getting, and that's it. That's it. It's not fair that you have it. So we're going to give you the chance of get rid of them, or we're going to take them.
Wow.
Yeah. So they have to get rid of it. You get so much bread, you get so much of this, you get so much of that, and that's it. If you're out of it at the end of the week, you're out. It's tough.
Yeah.
Strange, but it's very rough. You don't see that on books or movies, but it's like that.
Yeah. When did you first find out that you might have to leave the country?
Well, I think it was in 1961, 2 years after Castro took over, right after he became, he declared himself a communist, and everything was taken over by the government. Everything. Stores they are empty, there's nothing in the stores. The only stores that are open there, I was told, those stores that people that can buy with dollars. Now they will go with the dollars because the Cuban money is not worth anything nowhere.
Yeah.
Because what they did, when after Castro became a communist, from one day to the next, they changed the money. All the coins, the dollars, the pesos, they changed them. So whatever you had, if you had $1 million under the mattress, $1 million in the bank, you didn't have it anymore. You start over again.
Wow.
The most you could have was 6,000. I remember that. If you had $1 million in the bank, scratch it off. They will give you credit for $6,000 of the new coins. So no matter how hard your family worked, your father, your mother, your uncles, your grandfather, they wanted everybody the same. Everybody said that from one day to the other, they changed, so the coin was not good. The coin was not good.
When you finally decided that you would have to leave, where did you go when you left?
Well, a lot of parents send their kids out of Cuba first. When you are ready to leave the country and they let you leave, 2 years prior to that, they come and do inventory. So all your possessions have to be there the day you leave the country. That were there 2 years ago. So you have to leave the house with everything there, and they'll take it over, they'll give it to somebody they want in the revolution.
Wow.
My father was able to get me a visa through a friend of a friend, and me, like a lot of other Cuban kids, I arrived at Miami airport with like 20 others. We came by ourselves, alone in the plane.
Now, do you remember when you stepped out of the airplane? Do you remember what was the first thing that you thought?
I remember when, as we were coming out of the airplane, there was a group of people at the Miami airport, and they gave all of us a standing ovation. There was every time somebody would arrive there, those daily flights, there was a group of people with giving people a standing ovation for leaving the country. That was, I remember that day.
Wow.
I remember that day. But again, you know, it's, I guess you know, I cried for a couple nights, and you know, but I think it was a very good experience for me. And I remember the Catholic Charities had a group there, and they gathered us together, and they took us to, they were like summer camps that the church, Catholic Church had. And we lived there, I lived there for a little over a year, until they sent me and 10 others, we were sent to an orphanage outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When you lived in the orphanages, were you able to contact your parents?
Oh yes, because my family, both my parents were born in Spain, they were allowed to leave from Cuba to Spain. And from Spain then they came over 5 years later, and we reunited. Yes, I wrote to them, and I also spoke with them on the phone.
Good. How was that to be reunited after all that time?
It was strange. It was emotional. And I think talking was, yeah, strange. You know, somebody that you love and you haven't seen in years, to see them again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think all the things you went through, how does that influence your outlook on life, I guess?
I think by experience like I had, I think it makes me feel very fortunate, appreciate life a lot more, appreciate my family, appreciate my friends, and all the blessings that we got, because I don't think I would have survived down there. It was that bad. It's that bad. You know, I could have never survived there.
Yeah. Thank you very much for doing this.
I was gonna cry now. I was gonna cry now.